All right, we are now live. Welcome to another episode of the Legacy Lounge podcast, where we take a deep dive into the foundation, finances, and future of what makes a great legacy. Each episode, we bring you powerful insights, expert strategies, and real success stories to help you level up your life. And today, I have my brother Jason Billings here, ready
Yes,
to
sir.
kick this thing off. Jason, man, look, I know we already had a phenomenal conversation kicking it off before you even hit the live button, but is there anything you want to say to the audience? Introduce yourself. Just let the people know a little bit more about you today.
Hey, you guys. Just want to let you guys know I am Jason Billings, financial professional for Universal Wealth. I've been in the industry going on 3 years now. Uh, been in the background in healthcare for over 20 years now as well. Working in interventional radiology, general radiology, vascular surgery for uh, big companies like Mayo Clinic and University of Chicago Medicine. So I have that background as well. But transitioning right now into this financial industry right now, and so we're really excited about basically what we're going to talk about today.
Okay. Okay, man, that is a lot from the healthcare professional to a financial professional. Let me ask you this, Jason. What got you started on that journey? Was there a defining moment that you had to make for that switch?
Man, I mean, if you be honest with you, just taking it back, like it actually really has to do with my dad, my father, actually. Um, him being an entrepreneur first, and I didn't actually go that route early on. So my dad was, well, long story short, I mean, he left. He was on the island in Jamaica. He was born and raised in Jamaica. 1969, him and his cousin took a leap of faith, left the island. Him and his cousin made it to Chicago, and literally probably had about third or fourth grade worth of education, right? But he hustled his way and to provide and build his family here on the south side of Chicago. And looking back, he was able to get his license in real estate and became his own broker. And so Billings Realty was a thing on the south side of Chicago, for
Okay.
years. Yeah. And even with he actually dabbled in insurance for a little while too. So but like as a young man, seeing him grinding, and there was be times where he would be winning, right? And checks would be coming in, things would be rolling, but there would be times where things were not, I guess, not as great. And so like early on, my mentality of just watching him grind, I was like, man, I might want to do a 9 to 5 instead. So that's why I ended up going to school and getting my radiology degree and everything like that. But as a young man at 21 versus now I'm 39 years old, my thinking is totally different in regards to entrepreneurship and building your own company, building your own brand. And so, but he's the one that really actually instilled in me now, looking back on going forward as an entrepreneur.
Okay. So let me ask you this, man, because one of the things that I personally believe in is the three parts to a legacy. There's the foundation, the finances, and the future. The foundation is going back to, like how you said, the people, the family, the things that shaped us. So what is maybe like one key lesson that you got from your foundation that kind of drives you and pushes you forward today?
Basically, knowing that right now I am what I consider to be the OG of my family. I am the lasting family member of the Billings legacy, and so knowing what I know now, and that my family members, my mom, my dad, my two older brothers, no longer being here, what I realize is that I have to going forward. I have to have that foundation going forward for my family.
Yeah.
I have to lay the foundation for my family so that their next generation is going to move smoothly. And it's like my dad knowing what he know what he knew and establishing what he did as an entrepreneur. Obviously, there were some things that were good, but there were some things that needed some touching up. And because looking back on everything, I have 4 family members that are no longer here, and there was no assets or legacy left behind.
Mm.
So knowing what I know now, my goal as a family, me and my wife being in business together, is to lay that foundation for the next generation to come.
Yeah. Does that like, well, really the question is more like, how does that shape you? Because I know, there are a lot of people who, like, let's just say they came from a great family, they were born on the right side of the tracks, everything was good, so they don't have the pressure, I would say, of being the foundation, of being the one to put, the team and the family on your back. So, how does that really shape you and drive you? Because that's a different level. Even if you did have that, you now become the ground floor or being somebody else's launching pad.
Yeah, and to have that as a launching pad is key. So just taking it all the way back, man, like so you're essentially asking basically how am I basically ask that question for me one more time.
Yeah. So just just what's your perspective on it? What's your perspective? Like, how is it driving you? How you feel about it? Because now it's on you.
Well, it drives me because I don't have, in my eyes, I don't have a choice or a plan B plan to have to fall back on. It is on me, and everybody doesn't have the situation I have, and vice versa. But
Hmm.
it just I have that thing in me that I want to change my last name forever. I want to change, the generational curse, if you will, in regards to I want to, my grandkids and my grandkids to have a different story to tell.
Yeah.
And so those type of things drive me like no other, bro. And so, meeting the people I've met, like you, Tino, like Jason Bove, like Andre Pennington, like the people that we're building with at Universal, and what we're creating, that's what drives me because the mission is clear on helping bridge the gap, not just in my family's name, but other families' names. That's the important thing. It's not just about me. Like the mission is clear, is to provide that same energy and same tools to these families that need our help.
Mm. Yeah, man. That's powerful, honestly. So I know that with that journey, there comes challenges. You know, there's a lot of victories, but a lot of times we don't talk about the challenges, the valleys, which can then also, as we go down, give us momentum to shoot up even higher. So, like, tell us a little bit about a challenge that you've overcome and how'd you do it. Because we see you now, hey, big dog Jason Billings, but I know there's some stories, there's some challenges in there. So just give us like some of those little nuggets that helped you overcome some of those challenges.
Oh man, well, just even from like entrepreneurship, standpoint, like I was always ever since I left Chicago and came to Arizona, like that click in my brain to be an entrepreneur has lit up. But that journey, that's about going on 10 years now since I've been out here in the valley. And I've gone through a little bit of everything trying to create and generate uh, generational, not only just generational wealth, but passive income, all these different things. And when like anything in entrepreneurship, it's a grind, bro. It's a ebb and flow. And so,
Yeah,
there's been times even in this industry, just learning to get myself settled in and figuring out how to grow my business and how to grow the people around me. Like those are tough battles to endure. You go through those tough battles of trying to basically level up in life, and especially as an entrepreneur. So yeah, there's definitely battles where I'm constantly like running into like a brick wall in a sense, trying to figure out how to grow myself. And self-development is the key to
yeah.
like leveling up and being successful in this business.
Yeah, I know earlier we were talking about like the personal development journey that you're on, but then also like pouring into others and helping them grow as you grow yourself. So, hey, just shine a little bit of light on that for us.
Yeah. So like even right now, we're building, agents across the country right now. We have agents in Florida, Georgia, here in Arizona right now, and it like the battle is that just like the hat that I have on my head, it represents the motor, which is my brand, and the why. So everybody has a different why, right? And the drip on the why, everybody has a different drip. Their why is different, and so even that applies to like even you building a team here. That one person here, his goals might not be the same as my goals. and vice versa. And the gentleman over, in Florida might not have the same goals that I have, but is seeing what their why is, why they want to move to the next level, whatever it may be, and tapping into those resources to help build them up. What we're doing right now is not about just ourselves. We have to literally learn how to tap in and build other people to get to where their dreams and goals are. And so that is the battle inside of the battle, really, is figuring out how are we going to build our people up to be the success stories going forward.
Yeah, I actually like the hat, man. I like the why that's on the hat, because then another thing is that you keep it top of mind, so that's dope too.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Got to, man. And it's
Mm,
like, my why has changed. As time, as you evolve and you get older, I have two kids now, 11 and 9. Uh, my why from where I'm at now is a 39-year-old man versus where I was when I first left Chicago at 29. It's totally different. How I see everything is totally different, and how what I'm trying to do now as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, it's a different lens. And so I'm just excited to grow with like yourself, Tino, and build what we're building right now at Universal, man. And the sky is limitless of what we're trying to do, because at the end of the day, it all starts with protecting our life, health, and income.
yeah, true. That is so true. And speaking of getting older and things changing, if you could go back and give yourself, like your younger self, a piece of advice, what would that be?
Man, not to tap into what people have to say, not really caring what others have to say in regards to or their opinions, because everybody walks a different path in life, and so they might not see what your path and how you're walking and where you're going. And so sometimes people won't see your lens, and but they will have opinion. And I would tell myself, close off on a lot of those opinions and focus on what you got going ahead, and focus on your dreams, and focus on uh, your why. That's what I
Hey,
would tell
yeah,
myself right
yeah.
now.
Keep the why top of mind, man. Hey, I'm gonna have to get one of those hats too, just for a reminder to myself.
I got you, bro.
Hey, yeah, man. That's
But
man.
honestly, like one of my biggest passions right now is the people, are middle class people, and the people that are grinding, the career driven people that are working so hard, 9 to 5 grinding. And sometimes I feel that they work so hard that it's the small things, the information, the key piece to outpace inflation, to protect their last name forever, in regards to setting up proper trust, setting up insurance for their families, so that their next kids are great, right? And it's like there's a lot of different information that I think if our middle class people actually took time to actually learn these concepts at a higher degree, I think everybody's families going forward will be set up in such a different landscape. And so that, even with retirement, I have so many people that I talk to that just have old 401k sitting. Like, how is that going to outpace inflation in the future for their retirement, right? Not even
yeah.
just their kids, but for themselves. And so the things that we're doing right now at a high clip, like I just wish people would actually sit down and kind of like learn some of these concepts to actually build that foundation even stronger for themselves, because they're already hardworking individuals and hardworking people. But just learning down and seeing those concepts and tighten up some of those things will take 10 times, 100 times a lot of things that they have going on in their portfolio, and period, in their legacy in general.
Hey, let's dive into that. So I know a lot of times sitting down with clients, it's like breaking those false beliefs about money, about how the system works, about retirement. So what do you think is like one of the big myths that people believe that's holding them back from the destination that they want to get to?
I think that, one of the biggest things that I've come to realize is that a lot of people just know fixed and variable. And I think that people will ride and die with variable, which is the market, which is crypto. And it's like, and I'm not saying those things are not great or have its purpose, right? But how does money grow outside of that lane? And I think that a lot of people are missing the boat on the other concepts of ways to grow their money. And I wish that even high earners, 7-figure, 8-figure people would actually sit down and learn, a little bit more concepts on, especially indexed. And I think that it will grow their portfolio in a way that they wouldn't even imagine.
Hey man, it's I'm telling you, there's so many little subtle things and just like the way you speak and the words that you use, because you're talking about ride or die with the variable, and that's literally what you're gonna do. You're
Yeah.
gonna ride it, and then when it goes like this, you're gonna ride it or you're gonna die with it. And when that thing crash, it is not good at all. Talking about ride or die for real, man.
Seriously. And um, I literally just had a conversation this past weekend, and and those individuals were so comfortable with just riding off into the sunset with that, and it's like it's cool. I mean, it's like okay, like I mean, we have options.
Mhm.
Do you want to hear those options? And that it's up to you, right? And I can give you some options because I think that people are not understanding what the one percenters and what the banks are doing. And it,
Yeah.
and if they fully understood how those concepts are being in place, I think they would be more apt to want to actually diversify their portfolio.
Yeah. So why do you think it seems like so far fetched or so like it's too good to be true? Like,
It's very simple. Education piece. I mean, when were we taught these things in school, bro? When were we taught these things in grade school or high school or even college? Like, were these things passed down to us? And like, I'm 39. I learned about these concepts at the age of 36. And so the problem is that because these ideas are so foreign, it becomes unbelievable that they are actually true.
yeah. And it's so simple. Like when you really look at an index and how it looks kind of like a staircase, it's so simple. And I'm having a hard time understanding why sometimes it seems something so simple can seem so like far fetched, but then we got a squared plus b squared equals c squared down like that.
And which I've never used that formula since high school. But yeah, like I don't understand why the concept, when you bring out the charts and you show the charts of how money works and how money grows, like how it's so far fetched to people's minds that it doesn't exist, to them. And if people would actually open their eyes and know, and honestly, sometimes ego could be a trip too.
Yeah,
Like honestly. So but there are ways to protect, not protect your money, but also protect your legacy, man. And
yeah,
and that's what we're providing here, bro. And because of the past and what I have and what I went through with my family, I'm super passionate about this. Like I want to see families thrive, bro. Like seriously, I want them to thrive. I want them to win. And at the end of the day, it's all about receiving and being able to receive the knowledge when it comes, though.
yeah. Because I think to myself a lot recently, instead of being like, oh, I didn't know this, or, they didn't teach me this in school, I'm more asking myself, well, why didn't they teach me this in school? What is it that they don't want me to know about this? And
Yeah,
then if I do know it, how can I apply it to better my life?
exactly. And even like I talked to an individual the other day saying that their financial advisor told them that they could not roll over their 401k because they would get taxed. And I'm like, you don't get taxed from a tax deferred account to another tax deferred account. And so sometimes there's a lot of misinformation going out there too. And I think, people just at the end of the day, I will always suggest and advise people read books, educate yourself, because if you're relying on somebody else to obviously also guide you along, you need a little bit of touch up yourself in regards to how to handle and move forward, because one of the biggest reasons why we're struggling as a society as a whole is because of indecision, and the indecision is because of we don't know which way to go, left or right.
Yeah, confused person will do nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, Jason. So, what? what do you see the future, the trends of the industry in the next 5 years? Because there's always cycles and things changing. You mentioned about the index accounts, and that's been around since the 90s, and a lot of people have the financial mindset of what was started really in the 70s and 80s. So where do you see it going forward?
Man, are you talking about just the whole landscape of the
Yeah,
finance?
it's like the industry, like what's happening in the country, like what's going to happen to families, any of it.
Honestly, I feel a little bit of uncertainty right now, and so which and I feel like a lot of people are feeling that uncertainty too. A lot of people have been coming up to me like, "Hey, my old 401k is dropping right now, or this is dropping right now." Like there is going to be some uncertainty going on going forward, I think, and uh, that leads me even to more like, what are you going to do to protect your hard-earned money
Yeah,
and what you've grinded so hard for? And that's where I think like right now, even if you're looking at this, we've done research. If you're looking at the sales of like these index accounts, they're going up like crazy. People are starting to understand these products and how it's helping them. And I think going forward, even more so, that's what's going to continue the trend. I think that is going to explode. Is the people are catching on and understand how these index accounts work, and they're really going to, it's really going to explode. And that's what we want, bro. We want to educate people on how to protect their legacy, and that's where I see us heading in the next 5 to 10 years is more explosion in that industry.
okay. So tell us about like what was probably the biggest financial tip or biggest financial piece of advice that you've ever received.
Um, Warren Buffett, rule number one: never lose money. Rule number two: follow rule number one.
Yeah. All right. So, man, my follow-up question will really be how can people apply that to their lives? Like, but one of the things is like how you mentioned index accounts. Um, but what else? What else you got for 'em?
uh, in regards to outside of that, like I'm sorry, the question
Yeah,
asked.
yeah. So like a good piece of financial advice for people.
Um, Protect your assets.
Yeah.
Um, your houses. Set up a trust. You don't want to fight the state through probate. You
Hmm.
work so hard to build these assets, protect them. You have car insurance, you got all these different types of insurance. Have insurance on your assets, have insurance on your life, and go forward. Those are the things that are important. That's my why. My why is my family.
Yeah.
So all these things are attached to my family, my house, my all these things that I worked hard for. So why would I want to leave it up to chance and have the state deal with my assets after I pass or something happens to me? And that's one of the things that I think when he's one of the most tightening up. And thankfully, we work with the best estate planning attorney in the country right now, and Andre Pennington. So, my advice to people is to tighten up in regards to protecting what they worked hard for.
Yeah, you keep going back in this reoccurring theme of protection and safety and security. So your message really isn't like, oh, this is going to be something you get rich quick off of. You put your money in there, it's just going to shoot to the moon, and everybody's going to shake their hands and be a millionaire. You're really saying like protect what's the important money, protect the stuff that is important to you, and then if you want to go variable or if you want to gamble or if you want to put your money in the market with what's left after what's protected, go for it.
Yeah, like I think about all this all the time. Like my family had houses, my family had assets growing up. And when it was time to retire and when they passed on, there was nothing there. And so I reiterate to people like, how are you leaving a legacy for the next people, or do you want to leave a legacy for your kids? Is that what's important for that next generation? Is like setting them up for the future is important. And I think that's missed. Like I think we focus so much on the present that we don't think about the future. And I would urge people to think more into the future, the next 5, 10, 15 years. what is that going to look like? How's my family going to be protected and set up? Like if that my if I would think that most people's wives have their family included, and so I would think that that would be a necessity, and they would treat their family like an asset. So if your family is an asset, protect them.
Mm, mm. Yeah, I remember there was a time where I couldn't see past, the next minute. There was no tomorrow, it was just we got right now, no thinking about the future at all. And I look back and I'm just like, man, you made some dumb decisions. You made like if I could, I always tell people if I could have all the money back that I spent saying YOLO, the money that I had in the clubs, buying bottles, buying shots for everybody, like, hey, the night is young. Let's live it up.
And I've been in the same boat, I've been in the same boat, man. I've had a solid 9 to 5 since I was the age of 23. And I would consider that to have been good money back when I first started, and I had no education guidance from a financial standpoint. I was doing the same thing, man, going out every weekend, spending money recklessly, because like it's like everything, like you can always get that back. You can always get money back. You can't
Yeah,
get time. You can't get time back though. And
yeah,
so like you know those things definitely I remember that in my past. I'm like, okay, I can't do anything about that back then, but I can sure tighten up everything here in the present and in the future. And it's
yeah.
like, these young people, I would urge them to be financial. I see a lot of these young guys right now. Like I'm taking care of a young fellow right now. He's already got massive amount in savings and things going on. We set him up with a nice index account. Like I think because of the internet now, I think a lot of these young people are starting to catch the wave of how to actually start protecting and growing their money early on, which is great, man, because that's what we have to do as a society, is to start to reach to these kids a lot younger. Because I look at myself, and like you were just saying about yourself, is like I wish I would have known these things in my 20s and early 30s, because I'd be at a different place right now. And I'm
Mm,
not hating on the place I'm at right now, but I'm just saying, like, that having the time, that knowing what I know now,
yeah, yeah.
I wish I would have had it, So yeah, man.
So what was something that happened in your life that caused that shift? Because I know for me, I remember the pandemic. I remember like watching friends, family get their cars repossessed, couldn't pay their bills, couldn't pay their rent, their mortgage. So what was that shift for you that made you go, all right, I got to make a change?
I think one of the biggest shifts happened after passing my mom due to breast cancer. And then after I had that moment, um, I had my son was born a year later, and then my daughter was my wife was pregnant in Chicago with my second daughter, and I was like, I knew I needed a shift then. Something was telling me I needed a shift then, and that's when I moved out to Arizona. Something was telling me I needed to make a major shift during that process,
Mm,
and I think it was just like the environment around me where I was at. And I've always growing up in the same place all the way to your age of 30. Like I felt like I had hit my ceiling where I was at, and I felt like I needed a switch. I needed a change. And honestly, man, leaving Chicago to Arizona was probably one of the biggest shifts from a mindset standpoint, and growing myself and having more self development, and thinking at a different lens of how to move forward as a family man, as a husband, as a dad, and I'm forever grateful for making that decision of starting in a new city.
yeah, you already mentioned like in that you know when you put it in perspective, it was like a big step for you, but in your history, in your lineage, in your journey, it wasn't,
Yeah,
because you talked about that move from Jamaica.
right.
Yeah, and so man, that
Like
man,
where would I be at if he never let with
yeah,
like where
yeah,
would I mean, like I think about that every day. I'm like, I'm forever grateful he made that leap. He made that decision,
hmm,
you know. And that one decision, like people's one decision, they don't even realize like it affects so much, and not just yourself, the people around you.
yeah, yeah,
It has that effect, and so it like I'm thankful because like I literally feel like the effect that I did by leaving Chicago to Arizona has manifested so many different things in my life in a positive manner, bro. And there's been negative things that happens because that's just life.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like I recently just lost my brother, my last sibling, in December out here in Arizona. Like life is going to turn in a lot of different angles at you. It's like, what are you gonna do to keep moving forward, and what are you gonna do to remember these people and their legacy, and to build further into the legacy going forward for your family. I think about not just my kids. I got 10 nephews and nieces now, that I think about on a daily basis that were left behind. They don't have their dad right now,
Mm,
So like, how can I impact not just my family, but the rest of the family to like build a legacy, bro? Not just here, but everywhere, and not just our family, but as humanity, we're a family, So
yeah,
like, how are we going to build the family? And that's
yeah.
why I look at it, man.
Yeah, because a lot of times when we talk about legacy, people just think of it linear, like it's just going down the family line. But your legacy can spread in so many different directions, like a ripple effect. It doesn't just go in a straight line; it just goes out, and you don't know what ripple effect is going to touch and shake and move and motivate or inspire somebody else. So that is just an amazing thing. I want to ask you this: what can you say, a word of encouragement, a piece of advice, something to think about for somebody who may feel like they're stuck, but they got something holding them back that they can't take that leap?
I'd say give yourself grace, because at the end of the day, sometimes we are our own worst enemy, and because there's a thing called self hate, bro, and it's like you don't want to. You want to get to a point in your life, or you wonder why I haven't gotten to that point in your life, and you're so hard on yourself, you won't make a move forward at all.
Yeah.
Give yourself grace, give yourself a little bit of time to figure out what's going on here so that you can make that next step. Because if you're constantly pummeling yourself and telling yourself you're not this, you're not that, how are you gonna level yourself up? How are you gonna get to that next step? So just giving yourself grace, man. I would say it was the biggest thing, and it's like nobody has it all figured out, right? And so
Mhm.
don't beat yourself up. Take your time, and if you find somebody that has some value to give in a certain lane in your life, reach out to that individual, tap into that resource too. We're here, like, I'm saying, me, you, Tina, we're here to offer people, a place of refuge in a sense, encouragement. Build That's what we do in this business. We're building people up, bro,
Yeah.
because we all come from some form of background, one way or the other, with family or whatever things that we've been through in a toxic relationship, or however, like, we've all been through it in one way or the other. And sometimes you need a little bit of a boost up or encouragement, but at the end of the day, I would say just don't beat yourself up, man. Give yourself grace and move forward gracefully.
Yeah. Yeah. On top of that, it reminds me of like sometimes when you're going through a hard patch, you got to remember the past wins, the past victories. David Goggins has what he call the cookie jar. It's just a mental, hey, I remember, like, I got through this hard time, I got through this obstacle. So give myself grace and give myself the encouragement and motivation that I could push through it. Because if I did it once before, I could do it again.
100%, bro.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So, man, how do you, because it's always success leaves clues, right? So what is, like, do you have like a ritual? I know one of the things I keep seeing on social media now is homeboys he get up in the morning, and you seen that video?
Oh yeah. So are you talking about the guy that puts his face in the bowl?
Yeah.
Man,
Yeah.
I'm like, is that what purpose does that really do? Like, I'm so curious. Like I don't know, but I think it's a cool content, piece that he does and he's created. My morning routine, it's funny. It's like, for the most part, I get up around 4:30 every morning, and so my routine, how I even met. That's how I met the CEO of Universal anyway was Jason Beauvais. I met him at the gym 4 a.m. working out. So that's kind of like my mantra: get my body, get my mindset ready for the day. And I feel like the early bird always gets the worm, man. Like if you're up, around that time, 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, you're up more normally earlier than most people get up, and so you getting your day started. You're ahead of the curve. And
Yeah,
so, being able to, check my emails, do some things, and still actually still move on and, go on throughout my day, whether I'm still, half part time still at the hospital and things like that. Like I'm able to function uh, at a lot faster clip by starting my day earlier.
yeah. Only select few are up that early in the morning, and I realize it's a different world that early in the morning. Like one, you're a lot of times you're up before the sun, and then not only that, everybody who's up at that time is up with a purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're
So,
not
so for,
just
so for me, me being all these hats, right? Like a dad and a father, husband. I have to have me time. And so I consider that my me time because when I'm done with my day of helping others, my day is my family. And so I'm not going to go to the gym and, and it kind of erase that time from my family. I got a section off of time where it's for me. And the best time for me is that morning stretch from like that 4 a.m. to 5 a.m. stretch where I can kind of like, get myself mentally prepared for the day. And I think that
yeah,
everybody needs to like, whether they like to do affirmations or pray or, meditate, like set that time aside for yourself to actually create that mindset of what you want your day to look like and how to move forward, and attack the day. And I think that leaving that little side of time, that little 30 minutes to an hour time a day is going to help provide more success stories too for whatever you're trying to do.
okay. Hey, I'm gonna ask this question more for personal. So, you know, my wife and I are about to come up on 1 year anniversary. What piece of advice can you give as a husband, well, to a husband and a future father?
Wow. And well, from a future father, for sure, enjoy the little small moments that the precious moments that you have with your kids. Enjoy the little moments, man, because i I am so shocked and surprised when I just look up and now that my kids are like almost preteens, because I literally remember them, you know 6 months old, infancy, like, and just to see the progression and time goes by, like, that's why I'm buying back my time now so that I can have all the moments with my kids as much as possible right now, because I value and I cherish it, because it goes so quickly. I would say just be present. And the question is with your wife, as a husband, never stop dating, bro. Never stop dating. How you courted her to begin with, keep that same energy. And always keep things fun. I know you guys say you guys are foodies. Always, whatever you guys love to do, just keep doing it, man. I would just say, never stop having fun as a couple, bro.
Hey, I appreciate that.
Yeah,
Yeah. Hey,
100%.
let me ask you this. This is a fun question I've been thinking about lately, and I just love asking people this now. So, if you could have dinner with any three people, past, present, dead or alive, historical figure, make believe figure, whoever, who would those three people be and why?
Whew. Wow. And you said it's a public figure or just
It could be anybody, somebody that a character from a book, a historical figure, a religious figure, anybody. It's anybody. Who are your three people that you would want to have dinner with and why?
um crazy enough, it would be for me Tupac. It would probably be Kanye, honestly. And third one, sheesh. My my dad's father. I never met him.
Mm,
and just wanted to peek into his brain, and just to know our origin a little bit deeper, and family a little bit deeper. He died a year before I was born, so I would tap into that with Tupac and Kanye, because their minds are different than most people. I would love to just have a conversation with those guys, whether good or bad. Uh, just their mindset. It piques my interest in a way,
yeah.
because they do things they've done things in a clip that, whether good or bad, has been, I don't know, groundbreaking in a sense.
Hey, yeah. Because honestly, especially with the stuff I see now, I'm like, hey, what's the motive behind what you're doing?
Exactly. And it's like, there is some type of motive behind it, man. It's just like, I don't know why, it intrigues me, man. But like those guys, and like Tupac, he wasn't alive for a long time, but he made such an impact. I mean, he was like only 24, 25 years old before he passed, and yet people still consider him like one of the best rappers of all time, like, and all that different things. But it's the impact that he left in such a brief time, was crazy to me.
Hey, look, I don't know if you've done this already or not, but it's just something that just came to my mind is like the Y on the front of the shirt with the drip, right?
Yeah,
And then on the back, personalized what are people's whys?
yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
that's I love that.
yeah, man. Yeah.
I love that, bro. All right, all right.
Yeah, because I was thinking about, oh, maybe you could put like maybe a line or two on the side or on the back of the hat. But I was like, listening to
So
you when you were
on the
saying,
side, I already have a little logo, and it has a diamond, for the trilogy. My trilogy is healthy body, healthy mind,
mhm,
healthy finances, and so that's
okay,
the trilogy for that. And it has a triangle for the trilogy, and it has a diamond for the being a gem, the mindset being a gem. So, uh, but the back of the shirt, though, that's a priceless piece right there that you just said, man. So I definitely take that into consideration going forward.
hey man, look, you know, it all comes full circle. Hey, so I know we got to wrap up soon. I will ask you this: what I know we already kind of got into it before, but what does legacy mean to you?
I mean, well, family means everything to me. It's family for everything. So when I think of legacy, I think of family. And so how can how can I have a family and not provide a legacy?
Yeah,
Knowing what I know now, how can I have a family and not provide legacy?
yeah,
And so, that it's a part of my why, it's a part of my DNA, it's a part of what I stand for. And going forward, I'm making sure that my legacy will be, honestly, man, forever, bro. Like that's just what it's gonna be passed down and off of passed down, off of passed down. Like that's the way because I have the information and I have the knowledge to create that now, and I'm thankful that I have it. So that's what legacy means to me, man. It's family.
yeah. If you, how you gonna live and not give? You know.
That's it.
Yeah, man, Jason, I truly appreciate you being on. Just the conversation, the wisdom, the stuff that you said to help me out personally, man. I truly appreciate you. Like big bro now, big bro now, man.
Hey,
Yeah,
thank you for having this platform, brother. Like I appreciate you for having this platform and letting me, speak on this platform. I really do appreciate you and your wife, man. 100%.
hey. So what is like a last, like a leaving message that you want to leave with the audience, and then also tell them where they can find you.
My last thing I would like to say is, tap into what your why is 100%. Everybody's why is different, like I said before, but really tap in and figure out what you're passionate about, what drives you, and tap into that 100%, because we're here for a time, not a long time. So figuring it out as soon as possible to create the life that you want to create. And you can find me on Instagram, the motive, THEMOT that's our business page there. And yeah, if you're on Facebook, Jason and Alejandrina Billings, that's our Facebook business page as well.
Okay, man. Yeah, I appreciate that. And for everybody watching, again, life and legacy happens in moments. I pray and I wish you don't miss your moment. And again, focus on the why, the motive behind your legacy, because that's what it's all about. That's going to keep you driving forward. And with that, y'all have a good day. Bye bye, bye bye, bye bye.